NYIT is a community service of the New York Institute of Technology.
Covering the news of Nassau and Suffolk Counties, Long Island News Tonight with Ken Eckhart, Carol Peck, and the award-winning LI News team.
Good evening. I'm Ken Eckhart, and here's what's happening. The Long Island emergency medical technician who reportedly was shot by the man he was trying to help has now gone home from the hospital. Justin Angel of Belmore left the Nassau University Medical Center this morning. The heavily armed suspect who had crashed a pickup truck was killed in that shootout with police on Tuesday night. Police have said he appeared to be on his way to carry out a mass killing. He had a rifle strapped to his chest, extra ammunition under wristbands, and 6 other weapons. Meanwhile, the family of the gunman, 31-year-old Jason Beller of Comac, described Beller as extremely troubled, and the family has apologized to the wounded 20-year-old EMT. Newsday reports that earlier on the day of the shootings, investigators responded to a call of a domestic disturbance at Beller's house where he lived with his wife. They say the female complainant didn't press charges. Police on Long Island are investigating a boating accident in which 1 man died and 2 others were injured. Police say the 3 men were returning from a goose hunting trip early yesterday afternoon when their 19-foot boat struck a pole in the Woodcleft Channel in Freeport. Police say the boat's operator, a 54-year-old man, was thrown from the boat and hit his head on the pole. He was taken to a hospital where he was pronounced dead. His name was not immediately released. A 49-year-old passenger suffered a severe back injury and was hospitalized, and a 58-year-old man was also ejected from the boat but suffered only bruises and refused medical treatment. The girlfriend of a Long Island teenager who had planned a Columbine-style attack on his former school has acknowledged her role in the aborted plot. Dana Saltzman of Comac pleaded guilty yesterday to conspiracy. The 17-year-old will be sentenced in May when she's expected to get 5 years probation. Christopher Frank pleaded guilty to the same charge last month and was sentenced to 3 to 9 years in prison. Saltzman's lawyer says Frank manipulated Saltzman to participate in that plot. Frank also admitted in 2007 to an earlier plot to attack the school, sentenced to a year in juvenile detention in that case. Well, the original deadline for filing property tax grievances in Nassau County has now passed, and many argued they hadn't been given enough time to get it done. But property owners who received late assessment letters now have been given an extension to file their grievance, as Jody Goldberg reports.
County Executive Ed Mangano says Nassau is taking its first step towards restoring the county's fiscal stability. Mangano says for the first time in Nassau County history, homeowners who received their property tax assessments too close to the March 1st deadline will now be given a grace period to file grievances.
There's always residents that for some reason didn't receive their notice. Our response has always been to immediately, forward another copy of the notice.
According to Mangano, as many as 12,000 assessment notices were damaged, creating a delay. And he says the extra time will give local residents the chance to look over the accuracy of their property assessments.
This is just a response in fairness to provide those that receive late notices an opportunity to have more time to look at their assessment, evaluate it, and decide whether they would to challenge it.
Your taxes will go
Democrats responded to the extension of tax grievances, saying they're glad Mangano recognized the problem. And they say property owners should not be penalized for the county's incompetence. So between now and April 23rd, Mangano says he's advising residents to carefully look over their tax assessments. In Mineola, Jody Goldberg, LI News Tonight.
It was another up day on Wall Street today. The Dow finished the day up almost 191.5 points. NASDAQ was up 50 2/3 points, and the S&P was up 22.5 points. NYIT's LI News Tonight continues after this.
create your own Mardi Gras mask at the Brentwood Public Library on Tuesday, March 8th at 11 a.m. For more information, call 631-273-7883. See a screening of the film Mildred Pierce at New York Institute of Technology's D. Seversky Center in Old Westbury on Wednesday, March 9th at 5:30 p.m. For more information, call 516-686-7567. Learn about the biggest hits and flops on Broadway from 1959 through 2009 at the Friedberg JCC in Oceanside on Wednesday, March 9th at 7:30 p.m. For more information, call 516-634-4154 or enjoy a free Baroque concert at the Carriage House at Bayard Cutting Arboretum in Great River on Sunday, March 13th at 2 p.m. For more information, call 631-224-5420. If you have an event you'd like included on the LI News Tonight community calendar, send it to linewstonight at nyit.edu.
Press play to start your future. Learn the industry. Use the technology. Become an expert in television reporting, journalism, radio, digital film, public relations and advertising, television production, digital graphics, a beautiful state-of-the-art campus, a road to the job you've always wanted, in the media capital of the world. Communication Arts at NYIT. When can you start?
Some of the major headlines around the world today: army units in Libya that have joined the rebellion against Muammar Gaddafi were reportedly moving to secure a strategic oil installation today, a day after the rebels turned back an effort by Gaddafi supporters to retake the port. Witnesses say government warplanes launched a new airstrike on the town this morning, possibly targeting an airstrip that's part of the oil complex. Meanwhile, the prosecutor of the International Criminal Court at The Hague says he will investigate Gaddafi and his inner circle, including some of his sons, for possible crimes against humanity in the violent crackdown on anti-government protesters. A top security official says the suspect in the slaying of 2 U.S. airmen at the Frankfurt airport has confessed to targeting the U.S. military and says he acted alone. Officials said today the suspect, identified as a 21-year-old ethnic Albanian from Kosovo, was apparently radicalized over the last few weeks. The investigation reportedly indicates the suspect acted alone and did not belong to a terrorist network or terrorist cell. German federal prosecutors say the shooting is being investigated as a possible act of Islamic terrorism. The suspect's family says he worked at Frankfurt Airport and was a devout Muslim. And a UN food agency says that global food prices reached new highs last month and warns that oil price spikes could provoke further increases. Skyrocketing food prices have been among the triggers for protests in Egypt, Tunisia, and elsewhere, and raised fears of a repeat of the food price crisis of 2007 and 2008. The Food and Agricultural Organization said in a statement today that its food price index was up 2.2% last month, the highest since the agency started monitoring food prices in 1990. And it was also the 8th consecutive month that food prices had risen. In January, the index had already registered a peak. Well, fast food restaurants on just about every corner make finding cheap, quick meals real easy. But they're also making it real easy for Americans to pack on the pounds. So the government has released its annual dietary guidelines, packed with suggestions on how to eat healthier, as Zavera Titler reports.
Pizza, burgers, chips, and soda are foods that taste so yummy. And with so many fast food restaurants on each block, choosing healthier options can become very difficult. And that, according to NYIT's nutritionist Mindy Har, could be a huge reason why Americans have such a hard time managing their weight.
2/3 of Americans are either overweight or obese. That's adult. And children, 1/3 of American children are overweight or obese.
So concern over the nation's expanding waistline has led the U.S. government to release its 2010 dietary guidelines.
And it includes not just about cutting down on calories, it's how one can maintain healthfulness, prevent disease in general.
And if you have a little time and some patience, the government says they have a plan to walk you every step of the way.
The government created a website, mypyramid.gov, where there are interactive tools where you can put in your height and your weight, your age, and suggested menus that are calorie appropriate will be suggested for you.
But following these guidelines doesn't necessarily mean you have to get rid of your favorite foods, such as these chips, but Harsh says it's a matter of having moderation and making simple changes, such as switching to these multigrain chips.
Instead of bread that's made from white flour, choosing whole grains, cereal instead of eating Frosted Flakes, eating a bran cereal or oatmeal.
And remember to drink plenty of water, get lots of exercise, and
eat lots of fruits and vegetables, whole grains, beans, nuts, legumes.
In Old Westbury, Savera Titler, LI News Tonight.
And in a related story, a new study finds American adults have a significantly higher rate of obesity than their neighbors to the north. About 24% of Canadians are obese compared to more than 34% of Americans. The U.S. Centers for Disease Control and Prevention made the comparisons from 2007 through 2009. It's the first time the U.S. Health Agency has compared American obesity rates with those of another country. The report adds to a growing pile of studies that show Americans are less healthy than people in other developed nations. The two countries have different racial demographics, and U.S. blacks and Hispanics have higher obesity rates than whites. Well, Nassau County Police say a suspect wanted for the theft of car parts from a service dealership gave himself away by trying to sell the parts on eBay. Detectives say the parts were discovered missing from a car at Long Island Ferrari in Plainview last month. 30-year-old William J. Muir of Mastic Beach was arrested on Friday after police say a worker at the dealership searched the computer and found the stolen items being sold on eBay by Muir. Muir reportedly had bought a Ferrari from the same dealership and then stole items including floor mats, umbrellas, and warranty books from vehicles on the lot, with items totaling about $4,000. Thousands of sailors who once steered their yachts across the Indian Ocean without a second thought are now choosing other routes, packing their boats aboard cargo ships, hiring armed guards, or simply canceling their dream voyages altogether. With Somali pirates seizing vessels and killing hostages in an area as large as the continental United States, boatyards, restaurants, and other businesses along the yachters' routes have been seeing their business fall, with customers scared off. Yachts trying to sail from Asia to Europe through the Suez Canal face tough choices. They can't sail in the other direction because the winds aren't right. Bigger yachts can go around the southern tip of Africa, but the Cape of Good Hope is notorious for storms and shipwrecks. We had a beautiful sunny day today. The high was in the mid-30s. Tonight, partly cloudy with a low in the low 20s. Tomorrow, partly cloudy with a high in the low 40s. Saturday, cloudy with a high in the mid-50s. Sunday, rain expected, a high around 50 degrees. And the outlook for Monday, rain continuing with a high in the mid-40s. And that's it for NYIT's LI News Tonight. I'm Ken Eckhart. Thank you for watching. We'll see you again tomorrow. Have a good night.